What is up, my dudes? It is Alec Lindstrom, former Boston College offensive lineman. You're listening to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. Go Eagles and go ACC.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name is Joey Weaver. He is Mike McDaniel. Mike, Week 5 in the books. I just got back from traveling, so we'll see how this goes. How are you doing? Did you get to watch some games this weekend?
I watched pretty much all of them. I was just yawning, so I'm tired.
Mm-hmm. Likewise.
That's how it works when you're watching a lot of college football and then you have a kid. Mm-hmm. That's what happens. And I didn't even travel this weekend. You traveled. I don't have an excuse. I'm just old.
So. Being in your 30s is not for the weak of heart here.
I took my kid to the pumpkin patch today in the middle of the day, and now I'm exhausted. You traveled. You have a good excuse. So
stay up way too late, and that whole thing. Anyways, right. Mike, we had 6 games that happened. We need to go through and recap them. Should we just start in Atlanta? Can we just rip the Band-Aid off and just be done with this?
Yes, let's do it.
Bowling Green 38. Scott is there. Yeah, there you go. Georgia Tech 27.
Nice, Joey. What the fuck was this? Sorry, language. So as I thought about this after the fact of how do I want to address this on the podcast is, do I want to basically say nothing and act like this didn't happen? Do we need to mark this episode as explicit? Mike, you've already covered that. And yes, happy to do it.
Basically use some more colorful language than I typically would on such a show. I think just in general, I think the way that I would sum this up is, and I tweeted this out yesterday, is if this is not the low point of the Brent Key era, the Brent Key era is not going to last very long, because this is inexcusable. It is embarrassing. It is a horrific. This is such a bad loss. This is worse than the Northern Illinois loss, I would say, from a couple of years ago.
We told you, Scott and I warned the listeners on the instant reaction last night that we were texting yesterday and you had your echelon. Yeah, please subscribe. The echelon of losses for Georgia Tech in the last couple of years that have been ugly, real bad. And we said this had a definitive place on your list. Worse than the Northern Illinois loss.
Yeah, it is. That Northern Illinois team at least went 9-3 and won the MAC. So there's that. This is not a good Bowling Green team.
No.
This is not, and it's. I think this is probably a little bit more excusable than the Citadel, but not by much. There have been some absolute stinker clunker games for Georgia Tech over the last few years. I don't know why this continues to happen. This is a game where they're a 3-touchdown favorite. I believe it was Paul Moala, the transfer linebacker from Idaho, if I'm not mistaken, who said in the postgame press conference, basically I think we overlooked these guys. Basically didn't take it very seriously. Stated this verbatim,
publicly
in the conference. Yeah, all this stuff. So this was incredibly frustrating. I thought the defense was horrific in this game. Bowling Green goes 10 of 17 on third downs, and that sounds bad. It gets worse when you start looking at the third downs that they converted. Let's see if I can go find this list, because it was somewhere, but basically it was if they converted 10 third downs, it was 3rd and 1, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15. Basically, it was a bunch of 3rd and longs that I don't know if this team just falls asleep at the wheel or what it is, but it was constant. It just kept happening.
Bowling Green was 7 of 11 on third down the first half and 10 of 16 for the game.
Yeah. The linebackers on defense look terrible this year, really bad. And the secondary, the tackling was an absolute atrocity in this game. Just defensively, this was a total mess. They could not get off the field. They looked flat. They looked like they didn't want to be there. I don't know. It was so bad. So bad.
Yeah. Bowling Green held the ball in this game for over 42 minutes.
Yeah, that's a school record for Georgia Tech for smallest time of possession. The opponent holding it for nearly 43 minutes of the game because the defense just couldn't get off the field.
Bowling Green in this game had 10 penalties for 113 yards, and at one point they were leading this game 38-14. Georgia Tech got that ass beat.
Yeah. Haynes King wasn't good. What's funny?
Empty calorie passing yards here. The stat line, if you didn't watch the game, the box score looks a lot better than how he played. A lot of empty calorie passing yards here in the fourth quarter when they were trying to claw out of a really deep hole.
Yeah. What's funny is that they actually scored touchdowns on 2 of their first 6 offensive plays. Mm-hmm. You had first play of the game, 53 yards to Eric Singleton, touchdown. And then you had a 5-play, 71-yard touchdown drive, made it 14-0.
Yeah.
Then it was 38-14. Bowling Green ripped off 38 points in a row here. Just a mess. Total system failure was the term that came to my mind. Total system failure. Haynes King, not good. Offensive line, not good. They couldn't run the ball against Bowling Green. Like, good Lord, man. This was awful. So bad. And I mean, I don't know. It would have been frustrating if you win this game by like a touchdown. It's way worse than that when you end up losing this game and kind of getting blown out. Like this sucked.
Yeah, the final score probably not indicative of how big of a blowout this game actually was. This was pretty concerning for Georgia Tech here. Honeymoon's over for Brent Key. You can't lose this game, first of all.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, like, I have liked a lot of what Brent Key has done in his first, 12, 13 games of this era, right? The back half of last year and kind of what Georgia Tech honestly brought to the table this year so far. I know there have been some losses early in the year. The defense hasn't been great, but Haynes King been better than expected, except for Saturday against Bowling Green. Has been pretty good as a transfer, right? Better than I anticipated. I questioned him as the starter coming into the year. I thought it should have been Zach Pyron, and Haynes King quickly proved me wrong. Played very well. So, by and large, I've been, pretty impressed overall by the Brent Key era, but you can't lose this type of game. I mean, you can't do it. This was Collins-esque on Saturday. I mean, let's call it what it is. This was insane. I mean, you can't be down 38-14 at Bowling Green. This is going to be a bottom tier team in the MAC. You can't be down 4 scores,
right.
Rough, like 3.5 scores. Terrible. I mean, just terrible by Georgia Tech. Don't know what they're doing. Now, I will say, like, defensively, this has been bad all year, right? And some of the similar issues they've been having, tackling, kind of popped up again.
Bad
blown assignments.
Yeah.
It's been bad defensively this year for Georgia Tech. Coming into the year, I thought this was probably going to be a strength of the team, and they just have not lived up to the billing on that side of the ball, leading to a defensive coordinator demotion, which, Joey, I'll let you kind of expand upon in detail, but Andrew Thacker was demoted on Sunday. He's simply just going to be the safeties coach for the rest of the year. So this was something that, Brent Key, you have to do something after a loss like this. When the defenses look this bad and continues to be an issue, and you put out this type of performance against a team that you're a 3-touchdown favorite against, you have to make a move like this. And he didn't outright fire Andrew Thacker, but I would be surprised if Andrew Thacker is still on the staff next year.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I was a little surprised that it's a demotion and not a firing. Like, I don't understand, like, trying to keep the guy on, because I agree with you. Like, at this point, there's no way you keep this guy on your staff for next year.
Right.
And you don't have like an analyst or someone in the room that can step in and be the safeties coach if that's the direction you want to go or something like that. I don't fully understand the demotion thing, but I definitely understand needing to make a change at defensive coordinator. Like, at the end of the day, like, you've got to get a different voice in that room, because this is not working at all. It hasn't worked really all year, other than last week against Wake Forest, I guess, which, again, seeing that performance and then seeing this performance is really kind of bizarre for what that's worth. But
makes me wonder about makes me wonder about Wake.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not happy with how this went, like, to say the least. I was honestly kind of steamed even throughout, like, the wedding yesterday, kind of seeing the score and kind of watching what was happening. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is unbelievable. It's embarrassing. It's unacceptable. I'm not making it a single excuse for the way this team played, and this sucked. You can't have this happen.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Collins-esque. This is something Jeff Collins would do. You don't want to be like Jeff Collins. So
yeah, I thought we were past this.
I thought, and I certainly thought Georgia Tech was past this with Brent Key, the way things have been going. And again, been impressed with the offense by and large this year. Georgia Tech did not really perform that great offensively on Saturday, obviously. But by and large this year, I've been pretty impressed with Georgia Tech offense. This was rough.
Yep.
This was rough.
So they go to Miami next week where they're a casual 23-point underdog. We'll see how that goes.
Well, Georgia Tech's surprised us before against Miami. So
yeah. Wouldn't be the first time. Bowling Green 38, Georgia Tech 27. Yikes. Where to next, Mike?
Louisville 13, NC State 10, Friday night. I don't really know what NC State's doing on offense here. I don't know what they're doing.
Not much.
I think it's time to at least contemplate a quarterback change. And I don't think look, I don't think Brennan Armstrong is the problem. He's certainly part of it though, and the offense could use a little bit of a spark.
Yeah. I don't know. I go back to the comments that Dave Doran made after the game last week and talking about some of the things that were going on there. And I'm confident that I don't know the whole story. I did hear the note that I think Jordan Houston basically backed out of the team. I think was it right before this game or was it right before last week's game? Basically trying to retain eligibility for to transfer and go somewhere else. But yeah, they're having all sorts of problems on offense right now, and it feels like it's a little bit reminiscent of some of the things we said about Clemson's offense last year, which was
very much.
It's not just one thing here. It doesn't seem like Brendan Armstrong's playing very well. He's not getting a lot of help from the skill guys. The offensive line hasn't really looked all that great. The scheme hasn't been super impressive. It's just kind of everything right now that it's not working for the Wolfpack.
No, it's not. The offensive line has been pretty bad all year. And NC State, to be quite honest with you, they really couldn't run the ball against Louisville on Friday night. I mean, Brandon Armstrong was the leading rusher. He had 17 carries for 61 yards. That was okay, I guess. Some of those came off of scrambles. They really couldn't establish any sort of run. Michael Allen was their leading rusher, like your leading non-quarterback rusher, 8 carries for 22 yards. They had nothing in the running game, and the passing game continues to be a gigantic issue, right? Because Armstrong's running for his life. The receivers can't get open. Armstrong's been inaccurate, right? He's just flat out missed guys. So I don't want to put this all on the offensive line. Armstrong hasn't played well either. 13 of 25 for 112 and 2 picks, bruh. I mean, come on. This was supposed to go a little bit better than this for Robert.
Kobe.
Yeah, it's big time Kobe energy, no doubt about it. He's a kid.
I mean, this is your what is he, 5th year, 6th year? Like, he's played a lot of football. He's been a quarterback in this league for a long time. This is better than you would expect better from Brennan Armstrong than what he gave you on Friday night.
This is worse than what he was doing at UVA last year. Like, he's playing worse, and he took a considerable step back last year at UVA, and we blamed offensive line. We started to blame offensive line this year for NC State. But at some point, it's on you too.
Yeah,
like he just has not been very good. That
one interception was so bad.
So bad. Yeah. So it wasn't good. And that's the NC State side. Okay, fine. Louisville, offensively. Jack Plummer.
I'm not sure that Jack Plummer is actually all that good.
He might kind of be ass, right? I don't want to.
I think definitively like Jag status there, right? Like he's just a guy.
Yeah.
Or he's a plumber.
Or he's a plumber.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, not that kind of plumber. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay. A little Mario and Luigi action. Fine. I just think that Louisville, I don't want to say has got some fraud in them, but Joey, I think what you said about them being like aggressively competent, you said that about Louisville, right?
Definitely Duke.
Okay, Duke. That's fine. Well, we'll have a conversation about them in a minute. But Louisville is competent against the teams they're playing. And we'll find out a lot about them next Saturday night, I think.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting spot for sure. I mean, this is the thing, right? And this is what we said about Louisville coming into the year is they probably won't be the third or fourth best team in the ACC, but they might finish third or fourth in the ACC because of their schedule.
Yeah.
They're 5-0. Look who they've beaten: Georgia Tech, Murray State, Indiana, Boston College, NC State.
All those teams are bad.
Is any one of those teams going to a bowl game at this point?
I know.
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. It's a fair question. Probably not.
Yeah, credit to Louisville. They did what they had to do to win this game.
Yes.
And especially they were down 10-0 at halftime. The offense accomplished almost nothing in the first half. Comes out, gets just enough done in the second half to make this a victory for the Cards. But defensively, I thought Louisville was pretty impressive. I thought both teams were pretty impressive defensively. NC State, especially as much as their offense struggled, for them to just keep going out there, keep getting stops, and to hold up well, I thought, against this Louisville receiving core in particular. I don't know what more I could have asked from either of the defenses here. Continuing to be underwhelmed by NC State's offense. Louisville's offense did not have a great night here either, and I think some of that was NC State doing a really nice job bottling up the run. Jawar Jordan, speaking of Kobe candidates, 16 carries for 32 yards.
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done, and usually we would expect a lot more from him. So, credit to Louisville, got it done here. NC State defensively looked really good. Offensively, we're falling down a hole here and might not be coming back out.
Got some work to do on offense. We'll see about a bowl game for NC State.
Yeah.
We'll see. Definitively, we'll see.
Louisville 13, NC State 10. Mike, these recaps so far brought to you by section103.com, the internet's premier place for all things wonderful Georgia Tech apparel. I was wearing mine while I was traveling this weekend, showing my support for a team that was losing to Bowling Green. That was awesome. Drawing my attention, attention to myself that way, and making sure people knew to ask, what did I think about all that? Yeah. They've got things for men, women, children, something for the whole family. They've got T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. I was wearing my hoodie as well, kind of sitting out on the back porch way too late last night, so that was awesome. They have things with the ATL logo, all the official word marks, the official Tech Gold, anything you need to wear to show your support for Georgia Tech. Go find it at section103.com. Use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order. Really appreciate Steven and the gang for their partnership. They continue to make some fantastic apparel. Highly recommend supporting them and, showing your support for Georgia Tech, even in some of these dark days, Mike, as they happen.
Yeah. Yeah, go buy some apparel. Make yourself feel better.
There you go. Mike, do you need to make yourself feel better?
Virginia Tech 38, Pittsburgh 21. Hell yeah, Hokies.
Hey, who called it?
Hell yeah, baby. We both did. We both called it. Oh, man, Joey.
I am the smartest man alive.
This felt
well
good.
Done, Scott.
Joey, yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, the drops have been just on point recently in general, but that one was real good. Joey, this was fantastic. Look, listen. Pittsburgh's a terrible football team. We're going to talk I'm going to get my Virginia Tech bit off here, and then we're going to talk a lot about Pittsburgh because is Pittsburgh going like 2-10, 3-9? We'll get into that in a moment. Pretty bad. Virginia Tech here, listen, defensively, we've talked about the defense all year, right? The rushing defense especially has been terrible. Bottom of the FBS bad. Offense has been terrible. Inconsistent coaching, both sides of the football, lack of identity, especially on offense. Defense, the linebackers have been terrible, can't fill gaps against the run. Pittsburgh had two big plays in this game. Two. They had a 75-yard touchdown pass to Bub Means. Great play. Phil Dracovic made a nice throw. Means broke out in the secondary. Great play. They also scored on a screen pass, which, again, that was poor tackling by Virginia Tech, right? Poor tackling. And then Pittsburgh also scored on a Kyron Drones kind of freak play. He was rolling out to the right. Ball slips out of his hand as he's like literally releasing the ball to kind of throw it away or throw it up the field. Ball slips out of his hand. A little bit of fumble luck, bounces into the arms of the Pittsburgh defender. He runs it in for a touchdown, right? Virginia Tech was up 28-7. And then the screen pass to Sebo Flemister happened on the ensuing drive. It was 28-14. Virginia Tech gets the ball back, and then like 2 plays later, that fumble happens. It goes from 28-7 to 28-21
in like 3 plays.
Basically 3 plays, right? Virginia Tech was forced to punt on their ensuing offensive possession. It looked like Pittsburgh had all the momentum now. They're down a touchdown. Virginia Tech's defense didn't fold. They get a huge 3rd down sack. Keontae Jenkins, big-time sack. Pitt has to punt, and then Kyron Drones hits Jalen Lane, who had been missing for a couple of weeks as he had a hamstring pull. He looked healthy, right? 53-yard touchdown reception, I think it was, to really put the thing away in the 3rd quarter, because Pittsburgh's offense really didn't have much going all night outside of those 2 big pass plays. Virginia Tech's rushing defense here, much improved. Again, it's Pittsburgh. Pitt's got plenty of issues on offense. They're a bad football team right now. I get it. But Virginia Tech's been having some issues against some mediocre to bad offenses in the early part of the schedule with tackling, run fits, all that stuff. Tech cleaned it up, man. Pitt, 24 carries. Again, there's some sacks in here, but 24 carries for 38 yards as a team, 1.6 yards per rush. Buddy, I mean, Sibo Flemister was the leading rusher at 10 carries for 41 yards. Well done. Kobe candidate. Well done by the Virginia Tech defense in this game. Again, wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. Virginia Tech's offense, haven't even talked about yet. Tyler Bowen, offensive coordinator. The fan base wants to fire him going into this game. He has been, they haven't done anything right. Execution's been bad. Play calling's been suspect. You replace, Grant Wells due to injury for Kyron Drones. Then, against Rutgers, it looks like they're calling the right plays for him. And then against Marshall, you're trying to turn him into a drop back passer, which isn't his strength. And then it was like he had an epiphany this week. And all of a sudden, Virginia Tech's creative in the run game. They're outside runs, inside runs, getting the ball out to receivers quickly in space, mixing in deep throws down the field. All of a sudden, Kyron Drones looks like a good quarterback. He goes 12 of 19 for 228 and 3 scores. He had 2 more touchdowns on the ground. Virginia Tech's leading rusher, Bayshell Tootin, they've been trying to get him going all year. He had 24 carries for 109 yards in this game, averaged 4.5 yards per rush. Pittsburgh's defense has got they got issues of their own. But Virginia Tech's offense, this was the most complete performance of the Brent Pry era on offense and on defense. A+. As a Virginia Tech fan. A+. We've been waiting for a performance like this for a year and a half against, again, it's a bad Power 5 team, but man, Tech fans have not had much to cheer about in the Brent Pry era. This was fantastic on Saturday night. This was the circle the wagons game. It looked like it from the start. Virginia Tech's defense came out firing. They're pumping up the crowd. It's a whiteout at Lane Stadium. It was not like we said earlier in the week, it was a sellout. It wasn't like a BS sellout. That place was packed last night. Loud. Enter Sandman bumped on national TV, and then Tech actually backed it up with some play on the field for once. Fantastic. I am very happy. I don't know how many more wins we're going to have this year. I was thrilled about this one on Saturday night, though. In Pittsburgh, Joey, let's get into Pitt.
I'm saying, well, so I only have one thing to add regarding Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
This is why you play Kyron Drones.
Bingo.
The ability to have a game like this.
Bingo. Run.
This is why this is why you play Anthony Calandria. Or, you choose not to, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But in any case.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good job, Virginia Tech. Pitt, this team sucks, Mike.
This team's terrible, man.
There's not a lot that they do very well right now.
No.
Other than just like random explosive plays in the passing game, apparently.
I mean, Phil Dracovic at one point in this game had 5 completions. He was like 5 of 17 passing or something.
For like 180 yards or something like
5 of 16. It was bad. 5 of 16 for like 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. He is not very good.
Not at this point. No.
I mean,
and again, we can speculate, is he hurt or what? But like, yeah, something's not there. It's not clicking right now. And
yeah,
man, it's like if you can't do any better than that, you got some real problems as an offense.
Yeah, and Pitt's offense has been bad. Pitt's defense has been kind of doing this all year. They've been kind of up and down. And dude, I mean, you can't go on the road against Virginia Tech offense that hasn't done jack shit all season long and give up 427 yards. Buddy, can't do it. Can't do it. Virginia Tech was 8 of 16 on 3rd down in this game. They were 2 of 2 on 4th down. So, I mean, you're going 10 of 18 on the big down plays there. Like, it can't. The money down situations there for Pitt just weren't there all night defensively. You couldn't get off the field. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And you asked the question: Is Pitt going to a bowl game?
No, I mean, no, absolutely not. I mean, they're not.
The scary part of this is that they're 1-4. I would argue they haven't even played the tough part of their schedule yet.
Yeah.
They've got Louisville in they got a bye week coming up, then they got Louisville, and then a couple weeks after that, it's at Notre Dame, and then the week after that, it's home against Florida State. Yeah. And they still got to go to Duke late in the year.
Yeah.
Like,
and to Syracuse.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we might be talking about like a 2-10 level Pittsburgh team.
Yeah, man.
And Pat Narduzzi's been there for long enough and has enough of an established program that I don't think it necessarily puts his job in jeopardy. It is a horrendously timed bad season for a guy like him with the Michigan State job coming open, just for what that's worth.
Yep. Just keep that one in your back pocket.
But yeah, this is not a good situation for Pitt right now. And I don't know if this is a quick fix with the transfer portal after the year or what. Probably not, honestly, the way that a lot of these ACC programs struggle to use the portal. But yeah, they got problems. I think the most concerning thing to me is the defense. It's a clear step back from Pitt defenses of the last several years that we've been seeing there. Yeah, it's not the same. And like they've always had a way of bringing in that like random mid-grade 3-star guy that turns into like a first-round pick on a defensive end or something like that. Like they don't have that guy right now.
No, they don't.
So.
I mean, Pittsburgh had the issues with the rushing defense against Cincinnati a few weeks ago, and we were all kind of pointing to that like, wow, is that an aberration? And we kind of thought it was, because in Pittsburgh's rushing defense the last couple of weeks has been okay, and then Saturday night it just was not good again. Just makes you wonder, man. I don't know. They've prided themselves on running the football well, which they're not doing right now, and they've prided themselves on stopping the run defensively and being a real aggressive, tenacious unit, and they're not that either. So I don't know. Their team identity this year is just kind of lost. And
yeah,
Narduzzi won 10 games a couple of years ago at Pickett. He won 9 last year, right? They're the 2 most winning seasons for Pitt in the last 20 years. So he's got some goodwill there for sure. Michigan State's coming open, and it is open now, by the way. And, the thing with Narduzzi as a candidate, you argued it one direction, right? It's horrendously timed, right? In that, Narduzzi, probably wants to be considered for that position if he was ever to think about leaving Pittsburgh. But this also screams Jimbo Fisher to me a little bit, where you can kind of point to a job and be like, I want that one. And then when they ask you why the current thing is going downhill, you just blame school infrastructure or something.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So that would be nice and convenient. And then you just leave, you skip down and just go to Michigan State, which is probably like a lateral move football wise. It's just a little bit better because of the conference situation.
If you're a Pitt fan listening to this right now, I'm very curious to get the pulse of the Pitt fan base right now. So leave it in the comments on YouTube. Send us an email, basketballconferencepodcast@gmail.com. I'm curious to hear what y'all are thinking right now about this program. Are you done with Narduzzi? Is this just like a throw it away, start over next year kind of situation with him of just forget it, flush it, and he'll have it fixed for next year kind of thing? Like I don't know. I'm curious to hear.
Genuinely, because I'm not sure Pitt's going to win 3 games.
Yeah. Outlook's not great here.
No. Going to have a couple upsets to get more than that. So, yeah, this is going to be a really, really bad Pitt year, I think.
Yep. Anything else in this game, Mike?
No, I'm good.
38-21, Virginia Tech gets it done in Blacksburg over Pittsburgh. 3 more here, Mike. Should we hit the headliner finally?
Let's hit the headliner.
Number 11, Notre Dame, 21. Number 17, Duke, 14. This is as heartbreaking and crushing of a loss for Duke as I can imagine. Like, I don't know that you could have drawn up a script to be more like devastating of a loss just from an emotional standpoint. Like, man, and especially not only like the way that you lose this game, but also what you might have lost at the very end of this game as well.
Yeah. Riley Leonard hurt his ankle on the final offensive play of the game for Duke. He fumbled. I mean, it was kind of a strip sack situation, but his ankle was rolled up pretty bad, and that was part of the reason why he fumbled.
It did not.
Can't blame him there. No, the highlight of it, the replay, is not very good. He ended up in the medical tent. Sam Hartman, Notre Dame's quarterback, was out there waiting for him to exit the medical tent after the game, just to congratulate him on a good game, that sort of thing, before leaving the field. And he left the medical tent on crutches, and we don't really have an update yet, but I don't think it's good. Duke's on bye.
There was an update from Pete Thamel earlier today. Non-season ending.
Okay. So probably high. I mean, we were speculating on the instant reaction show last night. It was probably a high ankle sprain. Kind of has that feel when you say non-season ending, but it looked as bad as it was.
It's not broken, but yeah.
Probably not broken, but feels that way, sort of. So it'll be interesting. Duke's on bye next week, I think. So you get an extra week to heal up. That's probably good, helpful. He won't be practicing much. But this was a game where Notre Dame in the first half, especially, I thought just looked like the more physical team and kind of looked like they were just going to sit on Duke. It was going to be a shout out solid verbal, but like a crock-potting situation where, Notre Dame was just going to slowly pull away, much like we said on the preview. We thought Notre Dame might just grind them to a pulp. It was certainly looking that way. Duke missed a couple opportunities early in the game, missed a couple field goals, missed one before half that we thought was going to be backbreaking. Duke's coaching staff, I thought, in the second half especially, I thought defensively Duke played well all night, but offensively they made some adjustments, got in the end zone a couple times. And Notre Dame's offense had nothing in the second half. Like they kicked a field goal, right? So, okay, fine. But they didn't have really anything going. They were up 13-0. End up being 14-13 Duke late. Sam Hartman converts a 4th and 16 on the run. I mean, Notre Dame was in some deep trouble here. I thought Duke was definitely going to win this football game. It was feeling like Hartman couldn't connect with anybody. He was under heavy pass rush. Notre Dame's offensive line, which has been good all year, couldn't block anybody in the second half. Duke was bringing pressure from all over the field. And then Sam Hartman, Duke drops 8, and Sam Hartman takes off with his legs, something we really haven't seen too much of since he got banged up last year, and picks up 18 when he needed 16. Then all of a sudden it's a couple chunk pass plays, which we hadn't seen because now Duke's on their heels a little bit. And then Audric Estime, who had trouble getting going all night long, breaks that 30-yard touchdown run at the end. It was his longest run of the night. It was a backbreaker for Duke, obviously. Came in with like 36 seconds to go. He goes into the end zone. Notre Dame converts on the 2-point conversion. They ran the cover play, by the way, for us Notre Dame minus 5.5 ticket holders. That bet cashed. I yelled the cover play. I texted Scott that, and I was kind of yelling it to myself watching it on TV. I was like, the cover play, the cover play, the cover play. Before I realized they were probably going to go for 2 because I would just lost all foresight of the actual game at that point because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cover here. And then I was actually in danger of not covering. It was 19-14 and realized, oh, wait a minute. Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman is not, he's not playing the spread here. He's trying to win by 7. They went for 2 and got it. I was very happy. And then Leonard play happened. But I mean, Duke showed really well here. Defensively, definitely had the juice on defense. Definitely had the juice. This Notre Dame team was missing a couple of wide receivers in this game on a unit that already is having some trouble with explosive plays in the passing game. And, 2 of your good young receivers, Jaden Greathouse missed the game, and he's been pretty good early in the year for Notre Dame. But, your 2 receivers are out. You're having issues with explosive plays anyway, and Duke took full advantage of it. And this was a good defense coming in, and we knew that they would play hard, but we thought that Notre Dame would kind of grind it out and get a win. That's eventually what happened, but Duke had a much better shot in the fourth quarter than I probably gave them credit for on the preview.
Yeah. No, and I think it is that Duke defense, especially, that is really what kept them in the game. You give up a touchdown on the opening drive, 8 plays, 82 yards, like right down the field, basically. And then after that, I mean, it was it wasn't like 3 and out, just like absolute dominance from the defense, but they kept getting off the field on third downs and forcing punts and forcing field goal attempts and that kind of thing. And that's really kind of what kept Duke in this game and gave them the chance to get the win. Yeah, I mean, seeing that, that they were up 14-13 with, I think Notre Dame gets the ball back with about 2.5 minutes left. And Riley Leonard has just pooch punted something, dropped it down on the 5-yard line. So now Notre Dame has 2.5 minutes. They got to go the entire length of the field, basically. And they were able to do it. But Duke had themselves set up so well to pull off a massive upset here. And unfortunately, they just barely came up short here. So yeah, I feel for the Duke fans and the Duke program here. This is that's a tough one to swallow when you realize you had it. You just needed one more stop on defense and even just one more play. Like if you can get Sam Hartman to slide at 14 yards instead of getting 16 or 17, we're having a totally different discussion here right now.
We are.
So yeah, it's a huge bummer to see Duke lose this way. But huge credit to him. That defense, again, they played their asses off, and huge credit to Mike Elko and that staff because, man, I think they really have something with that coaching staff.
They do.
That was a great hire for Duke, and it's just continuing to pay like immediate dividends here. So
Elko can flat out coach. I mean, Duke's not supposed to be competing on the same field with Notre Dame.
Right.
I mean, they're just not. And it wasn't even just like, yeah, good try, good effort, and Notre Dame was a better team over 4 quarters. No, like Notre Dame was the better team for about a quarter and a half and then one possession in the fourth quarter. Duke was there and very much had a chance to win this football game.
Yeah.
They had the upper hand. I mean, 4th and 16, Notre Dame's got no timeouts left. I mean, this was Irish were in trouble here. I mean, this was almost a monumental upset for Duke. And take nothing away from Elko and the staff, right? Just fantastic game. Notre Dame essentially did what Ohio State did to them a week ago, which was probably encouraging for those of the Notre Dame fan base, backing Marcus Freeman, kind of wondering if this was, going to be the right hire because, you lose to Marshall and Stanford last year. Things were kind of ugly there for a time. You lost to Stanford. Tough, right? Like the couple losses there last year, you're kind of left scratching your head. Now, you lose to Ohio State, but the way you lost with the 10 men on the field, and then, you go to Duke, a team that you're just physically better than, and you got, players everywhere, and you're just the more talented roster. And, if you were to lose that game on the road in Durham, I think a lot of Notre Dame fans would be like, wait a minute, is this going to work out? So you get to calm those questions down for at least another week.
Yep. That's all I got here, Mike. Anything else?
No, solid.
Notre Dame 21, Duke 14. 2 more here, Mike. Dealer's choice.
I want to save Boston College UVA for the very end. Let's
do it.
Let's go Clemson 31, Syracuse 14 at the JMA Wireless Dome, Joey.
Yeah. I mean, credit to Syracuse. They kind of hung around in this one, and it looked like they belonged on the same field for a lot of it, but I felt like there were a couple of just really critical mistakes that Syracuse made to let this get away from them. If they had played a really clean game, I think they would have had a chance to win, but they made a couple of massive mistakes. I thought there was a Go ACC moment of the week candidate here where Garrett Schrader, I think it's like late in the third or in the fourth quarter, basically like Clemson punts, Syracuse takes over. First play from scrimmage, they run this like toss sweep out of the shotgun to the right side. I guess the toss was like a little high, or I don't know what happened, but basically the running back didn't come down with the ball. Clemson comes down with the ball and runs it back to like the 4-yard line, sets up an easy short field score. Like there were a couple things like that's just such a massive swing to have happen. And you can't have, fluky, sloppy stuff happen like that in a case where you're going to try to pull an upset and win a game like that.
Yeah, Syracuse, Syracuse goes down. First of all, that was one of 3 turnovers for Syracuse. They had 9 penalties in this game for 92 yards. Clemson went up early 14-0. Syracuse cuts it to 14-7 going into the second quarter. So then you're thinking, okay, Syracuse is, they're going to hang around here like we anticipated. Not really. I mean, offensively, like they hung around early, basically, and then offensively, Syracuse just had nothing. I mean, the turnovers were a killer. Clemson's defense, Joey,
I think they might be back.
We were texting about this a little bit. I think Clemson's defense might be back, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
They gave Florida State hell a week ago, right?
Yeah.
Gave them absolute hell in Death Valley a week ago. Now they go on the road to Syracuse against an offense that's been functioning at a pretty high level this year. And just shut that shit down, Joey. Mm-hmm. I mean, Syracuse had nothing offensively in this game outside of like that first quarter. Had nothing. I mean, Schrader was in a world of hurt, dropping back to throw. Syracuse had nothing on the run. Jeremiah Trotter had that interception at the end that was a critical play when Syracuse was trying to stage his fourth quarter comeback, and it just wasn't going to happen. Set the score late.
That interception, man, it wasn't the best pass by Schrader, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
Trotter, just what a
unreal.
Can we do the sticky stuff check on the hands that we're doing with like baseball pitchers these days? Like
unreal play, dude.
How did he come down with that ball? That was incredible.
That's 4 or 5 star linebacker play. Mm-hmm. Unreal. Just unreal play. And then Phil Maffa, the 32-yard touchdown run. There was no real point in this game in the second half where I thought Syracuse was actually going to come back and win this game. It just never felt that way. Like Clemson just felt like they were steadily in control, keeping it Syracuse at arm's length. And that Jeremiah Trotter play sealed the game. Mm-hmm. And this was impressive by Clemson, coming off of a heartbreaker a week ago in overtime against Florida State team that Clemson easily could have beaten. Played, I thought, better than Florida State for most of that game, and Florida State just made some plays with their dudes at receiver late in that game. And Clemson to not hang their heads, right? You already have 2 conference losses. What's Clemson's mindset going to be coming into this game? For Clemson to come out and offensively, Joey, play pretty well again. Like they're figuring some stuff out here offensively, I think. And producer Scott brought this up on the Instant Reaction show last night. You don't really get a preseason in college football, and where you're changing offensive coordinators, right, with Garrett Riley, and you're just trying to get things under control. This offense, and again, we acknowledged a couple minutes ago that Duke's defense is for real, and that defense that gave Clemson hell in the opener is for real. But if we saw like this version of the Clemson offense, maybe that opener, maybe Clemson doesn't win that game, but that opener probably goes a lot differently against Duke, right, where Clemson's not like struggling to find offense for 4 quarters. So this is steadily getting better offensively for Clemson. I thought they had a lot of good moments here on Saturday again.
I will say, I think it's worth calling out that they did have a 3-yard touchdown drive, and they also had a 32-yard touchdown drive off the Trotter interception.
Mm-hmm.
So in a game where you scored 31 points, 14 of them came on short fields, which, it helps to inflate the score a little bit, I think. I would also call out that it wasn't super buttoned up from Clemson's standpoint. I mean, they did turn it over on downs. They had another missed field goal from a pretty reasonable range. They had a handful of 3-and-outs. Like it's not a finished product yet, I would say. And again, credit to Syracuse and that defense for stepping up and trying to compete and stay with them all day. But yeah, I mean, they clearly got enough done to get the win here. So I don't know that I have a whole lot other than that. Clemson avoids the letdown. They go on the road and again, coming off that game against Florida State last week, like this is a dangerous spot and against a team that's given them a lot of problems, and they go in and they get the win and do so pretty decisively. So big credit to Clemson here, and too bad Syracuse. You tried.
Yeah. Syracuse goes to Chapel Hill next week, and that game opened right around double digits.
Mm-hmm.
And I will take all of that Syracuse stock, by the way. If we're gonna be a 9 or 10 point dog there, I am interested in taking Syracuse. We'll see what it is when we talk preview later this week, but
yeah,
I'm intrigued by that.
I need to go. When's the last time Syracuse and North Carolina played each other?
I don't even know.
It's like a really odd matchup. I feel like I'm just like, what is this even going to look like?
Yeah, a clash of 2 very different looking offenses. That's what I will say.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All-time
anything else?
Matchup.
What's
all-time basketball matchup? Yeah.
This is basketball conference, so
that's right.
That's true.
The one and only.
Yes.
Clemson 31, Syracuse 14. All right, Mike. Boston College 27, Virginia 24.
We have so much to say here, way too much to say about this game.
Speaking of somewhat heartbreaking, blown lead losses here, Virginia goes into halftime up 21-7 off of a Hail Mary touchdown on the final play of the half. And at that point, it was just like, and by the way, it took Boston College, I think, almost the entire first half to get in the end zone, get anything on the board at all. So Virginia clearly in control, gets this massive momentum swing play at the end of the first half. There's no way they're losing this game. And then, Mike, they lost this game.
Yeah, they did. Pretty simple. Tale of two halves.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, BC just was kind of scoring at will in the second half. I mean, UVA's defense, I don't know what happened here, but it was almost like a tale of two game plans. I'll tell you what, from what I know about Jeff Hafley, he doesn't really seem like a mid-game adjustment savant. So I put this more on UVA than, I mean, you give credit to BC for making adjustments or whatever. But this isn't something they do regularly. So come on, Virginia. Like, what are we doing?
Virginia had something working in the first half, made adjustments at halftime. Boston College adjusted nothing, and all of a sudden it started working better.
Right, exactly. It was almost like execution was like just a little bit more on point. Thomas Castellanos had a much better second half. He went into halftime, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he had no touchdowns, 2 interceptions at halftime. He threw 2 second-half touchdowns, I believe. Let me go back to his scoring summary here. He had his 2 passing touchdowns in the second half. He had 2 picks at halftime. BC was gifting UVA possessions. We talked about that Hail Mary at the end of the half, which in some ways is kind of bad luck, but in other ways, come on now. I mean, that's rough.
Yeah.
The Ryan O'Keefe play, let's bring this up real quick. Boston College receiver Ryan O'Keefe got his bell rung, to put it lightly. Real hard hit, nothing malicious, right? But a tough hit at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Game was paused for several minutes. He was immobilized and taken to Mass General with a neck injury. Looked like he was moving his both his left and right hand as he was leaving the field. So, I mean, obviously that's an encouraging sign. I didn't see, I admittedly did not look that hard today because I was doing dad stuff. Did not see an update on that. Scott, do we have one there? I don't know if we do, but
I hadn't seen anything other than what Boston College themselves sent out about what you just said, but I also didn't look. So
yeah. But I know Virginia defensive back Malcolm Green, he's going to be okay. He was on the field for several minutes too. He was the one who administered that hit on Ryan O'Keefe, and he was down for several minutes. Then was helped off the field by the UVA training staff. So it seems like he's going to be okay. But yeah, kind of a scary moment there, beginning of the fourth quarter. And then this game gets tied late, and then BC kicks that late field goal. UVA just didn't have much going offensively at all in the second half, which I guess brings us to this question, Joey, and you were texting me about this. Like, this Tony Muskett as a starter thing, and I don't want to throw total shade. This is less about Tony Muskett, the quarterback, and more about kind of the direction that UVA is heading at this point. Because I thought Tony Muskett in totality on Saturday played actually pretty well. He had 3 touchdown passes in the first half. We were talking about kind of the starts that Tony Muskett made before he got hurt, right, earlier in the year, and kind of what he looked like versus what Anthony Calandria looked like in relief. And we were like, is UVA really missing an element of their offense when Muskett's off the field? I thought the passing game looked, at least in the first half for UVA, looked a bit more refined with Tony Muskett in there. I thought he played his best game, especially like the first 2.5 quarters or so, played his best game as a UVA quarterback. But this team's now 0-5. Muskett's a senior, and Calandria has played fine and has potential. And UVA seems to have a bit more in the running game with Calandria in there, which leads me to my next question. UVA, like, what are we doing here?
The only thing I can think that would make it make sense to me is Tony Elliott feeling some sort of pressure to try to win now? Like, that's the only thing I can think of that would make any sense here. Of, yeah, let's play the transfer senior who I think probably limits your ceiling a little bit. He might raise your floor too. He's not going to do some of the things that Calandria might do that might hurt you. But again, I don't know. I don't know what the strategy is here.
Yeah.
Remember what our friend Tony Bruin said.
That's right. Tony Syracuse came on this podcast preseason and said, would not be surprised if the season got bad enough, if Elliott lost his job at UVA in year 2, which seemed crazy at the time. And you and I were both like, well, does he have some sort of info there?
Yeah.
And I'm not doubting Tony at all. Tony's tied in. But
you think he loses this week to William & Mary? They let him go at the bye week?
That would be hard to come back from.
That would be tough to come back from. I agree. Now, listen, if they lose to William & Mary, nothing would surprise me.
I mean, after William & Mary, 4 of their next 5 opponents are currently ranked. So
the one that's not? Virginia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Oh, Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Or the next 5. The sixth one is Virginia Tech. By the way.
Yeah. So, yeah, not a great situation in Charlottesville right now. This is worse than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
Yeah.
And we'll see how things kind of continue to progress. But I'm with you. I don't understand this going back to Tony Muskett thing here mid-year. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish at this point. Like, just play the young guy. He's your future. You can get him the reps. Try to dial it in a little bit. And avoid some of the big mistakes. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, Justin Ferber's thought 3-9 was like firmly in play. I think that was his prediction. He said 3-9. You and I said 3-9. We're kind of all on the same page there on the season preview.
Yep.
Maybe actually like 1-11.
Yeah, that's on the table.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the games, this Boston College game and the Virginia Tech game at the end of the year were like the 2 that you had to have in addition to William & Mary to even entertain like 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah,
Joey said 2-10. Mike, you said 3-9. Justin said 3-9.
Yeah, okay, there you go. So
maybe it's not any worse than I thought. Maybe it's pretty much in line with what I thought. I don't know.
Yeah, well, show me the 2. It's going to have to be William & Mary and probably Virginia Tech. Those are probably the 2 games at this point, just looking at the schedule. So
not great.
Scott, you have a Ryan O'Keefe update for us?
Yes, sir. Good news. Ryan O'Keefe was released from the hospital this morning and is back on campus. So,
beautiful.
All good news there.
Good. Very good. Okay.
Good to hear.
Good.
Boston College 27, Virginia 24. That's all I've got on games. Mike, do you want to do some awards?
Oh, yes, I do. But real quick, pretty big win for Jeff Hafley there. Like, he needed that one.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. I mean, big win. It's all relative, but yeah, he needed that one for sure. That's a big deal. That can change the trajectory of the season a little bit. When you just get back in the win column like that.
Yeah,
especially after just getting boat raced by Louisville the week before.
Yeah, big win. Big wins relative when it's against an 0-4 team, now 0-5. But you were down multiple scores in this game. It was not looking good. Came back and won. Needed it real bad. But yeah, anyway, let's give out awards.
They are 4-point underdogs at Army next week.
Interesting.
Talk about that on the preview.
Yeah.
Mike, for me, the Go ACC moment of the week has to be from the Georgia Tech game. Boston College ends up getting kind of Bowling Green ends up getting a pretty short field. I believe they scored a touchdown on because Georgia Tech's offense stalls out. They go out there, they line up to punt, snap the ball. Ball never makes it to the punter. Why, Mike? I don't know if somebody wasn't lined up right. I don't know if the snapper is getting a little adventurous with their snapping duties. But that ball went off the up back and turned into a fumble that Bowling Green just fell on. It was, instead of punting on 4th down, now it's a 10-yard loss and a turnover on bounds. So Go ACC to that, hitting the up man with your snap on a punt.
Okay, so I had this one as my Go ACC moment of the week, but I'm actually going to morph it into the Brian Van Gorder Memorial You Tried Award. It goes to Boston College. They tried to go into halftime only down 14-7. In fact, both teams left the field, right, thinking that the half was over before the officials realized there was actually 1 second left on the clock, called both teams back to the field, and then BC subsequently gives up a Hail Mary. So, ends up being fine. Boston College wins the game, but down 21-7 at halftime off a Hail Mary when you thought the half was over. Instead of down 14-7, you tried to go into half only down a touchdown. You failed. They are the recipients of the Brian Van Gorder Memorial. You tried to win, Joey.
That is big yikes. The Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week award.
Buddy, so many candidates.
There were a lot, yeah.
So many candidates.
The one that stuck out to me was Jawar Jordan for Louisville.
Yeah.
He's not going to get this award very much. Honestly, Louisville's offense is not going to get this award very much. Yep. But for today, 16 carries for 32 yards, averaging a crisp 2 yards per carry. I believe that would be 6 feet per carry that he averaged. So, yeah, not great.
No, certainly not very good. I think another nice little candidate here. And then, again, the yards thing kind of skews us a little bit. Fulcher-Kovic was 11 of 22 for 235 and 2 touchdowns here. Mm-hmm. But really, that all came off of 2 passing plays. A 61-yarder to Sibo Flemister and a 75-yarder to Bub Means. So if you take the 136 yards out on those 2 completions, he really had it was 9 of 19 for 100 yards basically.
His other 2 completions, went for about 100 yards.
Yeah. So, not pretty bad.
Kobe.
Pretty bad. Sibo Flemister 10 for 41. Again, not great in that game either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Jawar Jordan takes a cake, but a couple other candidates on the Pittsburgh side there.
Yep. Mike, what else? Am I forgetting anything?
Yeah, probably. The Queen Elizabeth II Memorial You Died Award.
Andrew Thacker.
Yeah, Andrew Thacker. I mean, his job as defensive coordinator died. You can also give it just to Georgia Tech in general.
Yeah.
Also to Pitt. Buddy, yikes.
My optimism
died. My optimism stock up, but Virginia Tech's almost a 4-touchdown dog in Florida State this week.
Good grief.
Might be giving out this You Died Award to my alma mater next week.
Hashtag pray for the Hokies.
Yeah. 3:30 on national television. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Glad we'll all be able to watch that together. Team of the week. Play the sound, Scott. Oh, I was gonna go with the Falcon sound. But that's also very funny.
Oh God!
Team of the week, Bowling Green. Honorary ACC team. Actual team of the week, I think, is actually it's got to be Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I think it's either Virginia Tech or Boston College.
Or Boston College, I guess.
Your 2 main candidates.
Yeah.
Player of the week, Kyron Drones, pretty key candidate there.
I think it's Drones. He had 5 touchdowns, so
yeah,
that was a kind of breakout showing for him.
Standout performance in a huge win for the Hokies there for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yep. And that's all he got in week 5.
Tyler Brown, another nice candidate for Clemson, 9 for 153. He didn't score, but that's a crisp 17 yards per reception.
There you go.
Yeah,
making an impact.
Been good last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Clemson pulling something together in the passing game there. Don't look now.
We'll monitor it.
That's all I got in week 5, Mike. Anything else?
On to week 6. More buys.
Yep.
But
slightly more loaded slate next week than we had this week, but we will continue the a few bye weeks that we get some teams a break, and a couple of them need it. So
we have 8 games in the ACC next week, but 3 of them, well, I guess 4 counting Notre Dame, 4 of them are against non-conference opponents, which is kind of strange to say as we enter October.
Yeah, kind of a strange time for it.
Pitt and Duke.
Pitt and Duke off. There you
go. Pitt needs it. So they'll go regroup a little bit.
Need it like they need air to breathe.
On that note, we will come back and preview week 6. Mike, in the meantime, the people can find us on Twitter. I'm at FTRS Joey. He's at Mike McDaniel SI. Together at BC Podcast ACC. We'd appreciate them coming to find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. we're going to be, again, this season, we will be doing Saturday Night Live recaps and such. So come find us there. That's the best way to find out when we're doing them, is to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when we are going live. Mike, we're on iTunes, Spotify, all sorts of other good places where you go find your podcasts. If you're looking just for the audio version, that's where you can find them. We, as mentioned before, we have the longest email address known to man, basketballconferencepodcast@gmail.com.
Nailed it.
Thank you. Where else are they on the social medias?
Facebook.com/basketballconference, rate, review, find all of our podcasts there. Instagram at BC Podcast ACC. YouTube.com/ do it for the gram. YouTube.com/ at the ACC Football Podcast. Support our partners in Section 103, like Joey mentioned earlier. Also, Home Field Apparel. Use the promo code GOACC for 15% off your first order. Also, shout out to the folks at Vivid Seats. Use the promo code BCPod20 for $20 off your first order of $200 or more at vividseats.com. Please use the links that we've tweeted. Please use the links there in the description of this YouTube video, the description of the episode. You use those links, use the promo code, helps us, helps our sponsors. Shout out to all of them. So,
Yep. Mike, I think that's it. On to week 6.
On to week 6. Schedule's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep it tuned here. Going to be some interesting games that we talk about when we come back this week and preview week 6. All right. Well, until then, for Mr. Mike McDaniel, for Mr. Producer Scott, I am Joey Weaver. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will talk to you again soon about week 6 games. And until then, go ACC.